Going into the new year, and maybe even next week before New Year's, I have a huge announcement for you. A huge announcement, something that I get to share with you. I had another kindred spirit reach out to me with a business proposition and thought it over, said yes, and we have a couple things that are going to be coming out your way, available for kindred spirits, not only in retail stores, but also online. But I can't say anything yet. It's driving me crazy. I want to share so bad. But anyways, today I thought I would do a few things because honestly, this was a weird Christmas for me. Actually, a wonderful pre-Christmas. It's not Christmas yet. I don't know if this is in the way or not. So here's why I think it's a little weird for me. I have never missed getting Christmas cards out. I can't say I missed getting them out this year, but I kept finding something else I had to do before sitting and taking the time to do that. I have been in an organizing craze here at the house because I do want to go into the new year kind of focusing on me, for lack of better words, and not being kind of selfish with that, but I need to focus on me. I have got some blood work back that my doctor was like, you've got to change a lot of things. So going into the new year, I'm going to be making a lot of healthy meals. Going into the new year, I'm going to be back to at the gym more than once a week, or even walking. Next year, I'm going to be taking care of myself better when it comes to nutrients and skincare, self-pampering. So I'm going to call it a me year, and I'm going to share that all with you going into the new year. Now, when it comes to this business venture, nothing's going to change here. Don't worry. If anything, it's just going to enhance what we share here on the channel. So, getting back to my multitasking today, with the holidays coming up, I'm filming this right now on Wednesday. We've got Christmas coming up on Monday. I just don't have like cookies baked or things like that. But what I am going to do today is I'm going to make my sugared pecans, which the recipe is on my website. I've been making these for an uncountable number of years. And this year I might even add a little spice to a couple of the batches, but this is going to be for some gifts for family. In a moment, before I start baking, I'm just going to put one of my stovetop potpourris on, and what I'm going to do for a little try is I'm going to add one of my cinnamon applesauce ornaments that kind of didn't do well coming out of the oven. I want to see what the cinnamon and the applesauce does once it starts to boil. I have no idea what the applesauce is going to look like, but if it comes out that it really doesn't make a gross looking, for lack of better words, a gross looking simmering pot of potpourri, I was thinking, what a great little gift for next year, because I usually give out and have given out in the past little potpourri packets of dried oranges, dried cranberries, a little sprig of pine, a cinnamon stick, things like that. And if I could put one of the applesauce cinnamon ornaments in there to also put in the simmer pot, that would be so cool. This could go horribly wrong because I've never seen this done before. I just was looking at the little cinnamon gingerbread men. I will show you that. And I was like, I wonder if I can do this in lieu of shaking the cinnamon in. So we're going to give that a try. Another thing I'm working on is a kindred spirit asked last video or 2 videos ago what my Christmas cocktail is for the year. I've done a cocktail every year, and I went, I haven't even thought of one yet. So I thought I would create a cocktail today, and I don't know if I'll be able to walk and talk you through it, but I'm going to show you the steps, at least visually, of what I do, because I don't make huge batches at a time. I actually make little micro batches, and I write down the amounts, like a 1-to-2 ratio or a 1/4-to-1 ratio, things like that. So we're going to make a cocktail, I hope, today that I'll be serving to the family on Christmas Day. So I think that's it. I have my little list here. Oh, and I have to make my shopping list for the grocery store. I've already ordered the boneless prime rib. We do that every Christmas, and get the things I need for the Yorkshire pudding. I'm going to be doing roasted mini potatoes with rosemary on them. All right, so I'm gonna get going here. I'm gonna create this little simmer pot just so I can get the scent of Christmas here in the house. I'm gonna get Christmas music going. The fire's gonna be going. I might even have some YouTube videos here going off to the side, but I'm going to keep the camera running here and there and show you some shots and let you join me here in the kitchen while I prep not only for Christmas, Christmas gifts, cocktails, and that's it. I think that's enough. All right, so I now have the simmering potpourri going, and it does smell amazing. It does, and I'm watching the gingerbread men here, and so far they're sticking together, but I'm not expecting that later. Right now I'm just gonna make one batch of simple syrup plain, just so I have it for cocktails and mocktails for the season. So I'm just gonna do a cup of each, and just to dissolve the sugar. Okay, all the sugar has dissolved. I'm going to shut this off now, just let it cool down a bit, and then I'll put it in a separate container. So while I'm here, let's take a peek at the cinnamon applesauce ornaments and how they're floating. Oh, it's so weird how the center is staying a little dry, and it has some lines. Very, very artsy. Okay, that one looks weird. It actually looks like it has bones, if I could say that. Yuck. But the scent here in the kitchen is so delicious right now. Now, sometimes, you could throw so many other things in if you wanted to do a little nutmeg, some allspice. And then when I go to it's a spring, that's when I add in, like I'll do a rosemary and thyme with lemons and oranges. But this one I'm going to leave just like this. And I can't tell if I'm smelling the juniper yet, but I'm sure I will. This has really only been going for about 20 minutes now. Just checking in on the trio here, and I can see one of them, the foot is starting to kind of dissolve. But that said, so far so good. I just ran outside for a moment, and coming back into the house, it smells so good. You know, when you're in a room and you're with all the scents, sometimes it just doesn't hit as much as when you leave and come back. It smells like Christmas in here. These gingerbread men, I am absolutely loving the fact that they're holding together on their little floats. We have day 2 of the simmering potpourri, and let me tell you, it smells even better now that the cinnamon apple ornaments are completely dissolved in our mixture here. There's a couple large pieces still, but I just put this on a quick boil again this morning. First I refilled the pot, then I put it on a quick boil just to get it going. Now it's on a simmer, and I will have the scent filling the kitchen and parts of the house again very soon. All right, I went to my website, and it's newenglandfineliving.com if you don't know it, but you could also type in how to make candied pecans or sugared pecans and then New England Fine Living, and you'll come across my page. So the simple recipe is below, and I'm gonna follow mine here on the computer, but it's 1 pound pecan halves. Now mine's in a big jar, so I'm gonna do mine by eye, and I'll show you what I do with that in a moment. 1 egg white, a teaspoon cold water, 1 1/4 cups of sugar, a teaspoon of cinnamon, a teaspoon of salt. Now, if you wanted to add nutmeg or maybe a little cayenne pepper or just do your own ingredients, you can do that. And that's why I'm gonna try some experiments. Probably not today, it's a little bit later than I thought it was going to be, but definitely some other time. Well, I'm hoping you can't just completely hear the oven while it's preheating. The gas oven is very loud. So actually I'm going to move this. I have my pineapple aside here to remember to tell you a story. I'm hoping I remember today. And I'm going to be using pineapple in one of my recipes. We're going to see if I have any canned pineapple for that. It's more of a garnish. I'm going to put that out of the way. All right, so what I have here is I'm going to do 1.25 cups of sugar. My cup was a little wet from water before. So I'm going to have that in there. And then it calls for a teaspoon of cinnamon. I'll bring out my little mixer here. A teaspoon of cinnamon. And a teaspoon of salt. And let me just get I'm just going to mix this together. Okay, I'm just going to put that aside for a second. And I already have added my water. Wait a minute, I forget, was it a teaspoon of water I showed you guys? Yes, teaspoon of cold water. So I would normally do this by hand, but I like pulling this out sometime. So I'm just going to mix this up until it's frothy. I just like using this. Willow gets very confused. Every once in a while she thinks I'm talking to somebody that's here. She doesn't know I'm talking to you. All right, so I'm getting my bubbles here. It's getting frothy, but I want it really foamy and frothy so that it covers the pecans and not just glop on them. It's going to cover the surface of the pecans and make it nice and light versus, like I said, just a lot of gloppy egg whites on some of them and not all. I'm just going to do it a little bit more. I usually do this in multiple batches, but right now, just for timing, since I started so late in the day, they do take a long time to cook, and I just don't want to be doing batch after batch after batch as it's going into night. So I'm going to do this one batch today, and then I'll probably do another batch tomorrow if I feel it's necessary. All right, just going to put this in the sink. Okay, now I once again have this set up in a big canister. It's just the goal of having enough pecans to get covered and coated, and then when you put it in the sugar, there's always extra sugar left. So I'm literally just going to, like I said, go by eye, but if you're doing this for the first time, you'll want to grab the 1 pound bag. So if I were to open up the bag, pour it in, this is kind of what I'm envisioning it would be like. So I'm just going to cover these. Okay, so I am literally just stirring them around here. And also a good thing by my eyeballing it is sometimes, you know, you might have a larger egg than others and you might have a little extra for coating. Now it's pretty good. I don't think I want to make it too dry because you do want this moisture to be enough to grab onto the sugar and the cinnamon and the salt. So I think I might just grab a couple more, just to appease me. Some of these are unfortunately chopped and some are whole, but thing is that you don't just eat one. You grab them by your you know, in a spoonful or something. So I don't mind that some are whole, some are chopped, some are half. Okay, so now that I have that done, I'm going to transfer it to this bigger bowl because I did the sugar there, and I'm just going to then fold this all in, mix it up, and that worked out perfect because I don't have a lot of liquid left over. I don't see any globs of egg white, and now I'm just going to coat them. I'm just going to get a cookie sheet and get my parchment paper out, and we'll do the next step. Okay, I'm going to start with one here, And I'm using these pop-up sheets that I have up front. I think I'm gonna double layer it because this can make a disaster on your cookie sheet, your baking sheet. There we go. All right, and now I'm just going to put them on in a nice thin layer. Now here's the key. If you put them on and they're all touching, it will be hard to sometimes break them apart properly, and you want them to cook all over. So I'm going to put these on here, but then I'm going to make sure they have some nice air and space around them. So I will probably get my second cookie sheet out. And I'm also trying not to get all of that extra sugar. I just got home from grocery shopping and I thought I would share what I'm going to be doing with this abundance of fruit. Now, this is kind of the norm for me when it comes up to holidays and baking and cocktails and the whole works. But there has been times I keep this in a square basket on my counter, which you've probably seen in past videos, or I have put them on my tiered trays, and I have a few more over here. And just to show in the background, somebody asked if Willow had a stocking. She does. It's right there. My cabinets are still open because I'm still putting some things away. But this is an abundance of fruit this year because I am actually looking forward to trying some new ones. Like this I had to grab. It is a butterscotch pear. No idea what it's going to taste like, but I am creating a cocktail that I wanted more of a sweet fruit than a citrus, I think. So I grabbed that to try, and these were beautiful. I wanted to actually have those in the Christmas table centerpiece, but most of this is for use. But I don't want to just leave it here on the counter. So I want to share with you what I love to do with all of my excess fruit. Let me show you in the dining room what I'm going to do. Oh, first I should mention I brought in some more of the greens. I have some cedar here and some juniper. This is going to go on a tray and then finalize some decorating for around the holidays when company arrives. I was going to use this in the kitchen and set all of the fruit on this, on greens, and pull from it as needed. This is a pretty cake stand that I found at a yard sale. I think I paid, I don't know if it was $14. And I could see I have a punch bowl, huge punch bowl that would fit on this. But I'm going to clean it up and I'm going to put some greens on it, put my pineapple in the center, and then surround it with fruit. And what's not used will stay in here as a centerpiece for the buffet. And with the fruit, it will tie in nicely with the fruit over the fireplace here in the dining room. So I just have some frozen things to put away in our basement freezer. I'm going to take care of that first. And then I'm going to bring the fruit in here. Probably won't style it until tomorrow. Yeah, I know me. I'll probably style it enough so it's pretty. And then when I pull from it for baking, cooking, cocktails, then I'll just have to deal with what it looks like after. All right, so I thought I would do this first as a display, and then it's going to be pulled from for the baking and cooking. I even left some of the labels on the apples because I have both Max and Cortland's in here from the apple pie, and I can't tell them apart. They're so similar in style, so some of them have the stickers still on it. But what I'm going to do first is a little base of cedar. And if I didn't already mention it, this is a cake stand that I bought. Hello. I just realized this is right in my way. So this is a cake stand that I bought a couple years ago. And I actually used it in my store last year with a wreath, this fruit garland, and then I had a big punch bowl with some wassail packets in it. And I apologize for this in my way. But this is where I need to be working, and if any direction would be the same situation if I'm standing. So what I'm going to do right now is just add some of these greens all around, And my goal is to set this up more so for the dessert table. But my mother always says form follows function. Well, in this case, it's going to be both function and form since I'm drawing from it. Now, when I kept the fruit in the basket on my counter, that worked well also, but I'm planning on doing quite a bit of baking on my counter as well, so I decided to just do this. So I'm going to be doing some small pieces here so that if I have to adjust anything, it'd be a lot easier than moving one large piece. And then these smaller pieces I can also tuck amongst the fruit if need be, which I think would be beautiful to do. Okay, and I'm going to move them out here just a bit for the pineapple. Now, what I wanted to show you is, of course, pineapples are natural. Pineapples are natural, so sometimes they don't have a flat bottom. This one is not so bad, so it should set here fine. But if you do something like this and you find that it's a little bit wonky, you can grab a container. I just grabbed these not knowing if that's going to be the right size. That one is not. So you could put something like this down. If your arrangement's going to be high enough around it, you could put the pineapple in there and then really load your fruit up. I might have to do something high like this with the amount of fruit. If you wanted it more decorative, I'm going to have to tuck these in after. If you want more decorative, you could get another item that's in the silver tone if you're familiar using. And look how pretty that is. So I might even leave that there because I know I'll be using this, and then I'll have this container for some of the sugared pecans and nuts that I'll be putting around the house. So I'm just going to leave that there and work from that. So let's see, I think I need another piece here on the sides. And then I'm just going to haphazardly, with a plan, put the apples, the oranges, the lemons out. And one thing with fruit in colonial era and in New England, it represented bounty and sometimes it represented wealth. Now I'm going to share this little story about pineapples with you. We already talked about pine cones and that they actually were the start of what the pineapple name came from. That was in a past video. But also pineapples represented wealth at one point in the colonial era, especially in Newport, Rhode Island. Now, what would happen is the ship merchants would bring these in and the captains would have them in their home. And that's why you'll see a lot of pineapples out front of mansions and on doorways and whatnot. It means welcome, but also it represented wealth at one point. So if somebody wanted to go to a party, let's say they're going to the Joneses' house down the street, and if they went to a store, they could rent a pineapple, take said pineapple to the party, and pretty much stand at the side of the room and pretty much show off that they're rich by, pretending they bought or had their own pineapple, where people didn't realize that they probably just rented it. So I thought that was a really fun story that I never knew about, and it's in one of the old books here on my shelf. I wish I could find it. I will come across it someday, but that's what people used to do with pineapples. They would sit in a party, pretty much like, hello, look at my pineapple. So now we can get them at a grocery store. It's how history has changed. I kind of like that I'm seeing my silver container here, but it's going to quickly disappear by the amount of fruit that I have here. But I'll just use some of the smaller items here. So I want the pear to show. I don't have many pears. Let's see. And I'm going to do this red Anjou pear over here. It's hard to see. Don't know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna put a lime over here. And let's see. How about another pear? These oranges are going to be used for fresh squeezed orange juice for the most part, so I can take one of these to the butler's pantry if it's not going to fit. So I have, let's see here, I have quite a bit still. All right, I think I'm going to keep these 2 apples aside because they're just going to roll off, and if they fall on the floor, they'll become bruised, and I don't want a bruised apple in the pie. Okay, and I'm just going to tuck some of these greens in, taking some of the cedar tips and just tucking them in. I'll walk around afterwards and show you this from all angles. And once again, not knowing what it looks like on your side, I'm just going to tuck that in for now. It's going to be a little sad while I take this apart, we're baking, but this is once again functional. But I still have enough fruit to leave somewhat decorated for the dessert table. Maybe I'll put some juniper in here as well. See, I'm futzing with it too much for something that's going to be pulled apart by starting tomorrow. But I have a lot of fun decorating. It is so cathartic. Just letting the creative juices flow. All right. Hey, I got some extra, maybe I got 2 extra apples. Nah, I got to find some candles for those. All right, so I'm going to clean this up, and then I will just do a quick walk around to show you. It's quick, casual, but yet elegant. A colonial style centerpiece, perfect for anybody else who would like to reproduce the colonial style. And here it is. All I did since I left was I did take out the bowl from the pineapple because I do need it for my sugared pecans that will be going on the table. And I added some bayberry candles. And the pretty color too. It's the next day, and I am now working on just setting up for the dessert buffet. I have a few more things to bring out, but I'm bringing out the pedestals that I'll be putting the pies on. And then I have some small dishes here that I will be using for the sugared pecans. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do the sugared cranberries this year. And then I have another dish here that I'll be putting some items in. Still have my mother's, which was my aunt's, Reed and Barton tea set to clean up, but I'm going to do that a little bit later because I've also been setting a very casual lunch table, or dinner table I should say. A few of our children are coming over tonight for an impromptu pre-Christmas dinner, and one of the boys is bringing chicken parm. So like I said, it's a very casual setup. I was actually heading into the tavern to go get a couple more cups for the table. I'm using the tankards. It's kind of dark in here. So you can see that this is not all set up like it was in the Christmas video because I do use this for folding laundry. And many of you don't see it with the doors open and the lights are off, so it's a little bit dark here. But I came in to grab some of the tankards, and I think I'm going to be too short to reach them by myself, so I'm going to have to go get my ladder. All right, let me go get the ladder and I can go grab those. I don't know if I ever showed this, but we have a very tiny little, this is a tiny door. I still need to paint it, but it's half the size of a regular door. And it's where I keep my ironing board, my vacuum goes in here. My vacuum's actually on the floor in another room. And my iron goes in here. I have my floor steamer, and I also keep the ladder. Now I could probably put a light on for us in here, which is not much better, but I'm just gonna go grab 2 more of the mugs, and I'll probably use these for cider, and then I'll take out some wine glasses if anybody wants wine. I am planning on getting a lot more of these for 2024, but I just need to make a plan for what will be in the store next year. I can't believe next year is actually in a week. Crazy. So I'm just gonna bring these and put them on the table. It's so pretty with the sun coming in here. All right, I'm gonna go in the kitchen and I'm just gonna put these away. So this is a very casual setting. Like I said, kids are coming and they're bringing a meal. So all I needed to do, or all I was asked to do, is set a table. And I like that kind of meal. I did take the greens out from underneath Santa here and put a tablecloth on, kind of a play on our Scottish roots, just the little bit that we have in both sides of our family. And the place setting, the pieces that I got on, where'd I get those? Oh, some were from eBay and some were from replacements.com. I'm still looking for the smaller set because this is the reproduction. And if I can find the actual pieces that were used in hotels, that's pretty much gonna be my goal, because these forks are big. They're like Viking forks, but we do like using them, and the set's nice and heavy. So yeah, I'm just going to probably get out a few wine glasses, have here on the table, and I think that's all I need. I think they're bringing even the sides, so that's perfect. And then I'm going to be making some more sugared pecans, and I still didn't work on my cocktail yet, which would be for Christmas Day, but I can do that later.